So this is technically the day after the leg day because I wanted all the comments to really simmer. But yeah, the leg workout, I'll just put all the Q&A first and then the leg workout after. Legs was fucking nuts. So just by guessing, that'll probably be, I don't know, scroll ahead for the leg portion. But Q&A style, I screenshotted some of the top ones. Let's kind of scroll through. Number one, alcohol 6289. Alcohol spelled with a K and some other whatever. No question, but I just wanted to say that last year you inspired me to make my fitness to take my fitness seriously. I'm down 65 pounds and in the best shape of my life. If that's true, that's fucking badass. It you always got to be kind of weary with the comment sections. I mean, that's where if you were around for like the old kind of bodybuilding forums, there's a pretty classic sort of show your badge kind of way to deserve or to decide if you've got props to comment on somebody's fucking lifting advice. You say show physique. Now, I'm sure this guy's fucking jacked. No question about it. So, real question, Mikey Goddess. You said you don't want to do a show until you know you can dominate it or just look pretty fucking solid. How long do you think until that fucking happens? So I've said this a few times, but just to reiterate, uh, I'm like 270 pounds off season with like still visible abs at my height. We're getting close. Like I think after this bulking phase, springtime, I could foresee some fucking speedo action, oiling up, tan, everything else, but nothing planned specifically yet. But I think springtime is not a bad guess for when that's going to start. So Brennan Conk 5799, with your engineering background, do you plan on designing or improving workout machines, or potentially even starting your own brand of machines? Maybe not exactly. You know, I think there's kind of a pretty solid market already with all the Arsenal, Life Fitness, Hammer Strength, Panada, whatever else. And like this comment makes it seem like that's like an overnight kind of situation. Like that would be years in the fucking making. But on a much shorter scale, um, thinking about like getting a kind of a home gym set up or like some kind of private gym and like some kind of warehouse. It's not unfucking heard of to like have a like kind of machine shop that you get to know where they've got welders and you can actually like fabricate your own kind of stuff. So it's like, you know, let's say you've got some kind of pendulum squat and maybe I don't like the angle of exactly how the foot pad is placed, then I think I've got a pretty good grasp to be able to say, okay, this is way too steep. Let's drop it a little bit to wherever, send that to those guys, have them take that thing up, paint it, bring it back to you. So something like that. But actually building shit from scratch, that's not necessarily a massive itch that I've got in the back of my mind. But who knows? I mean, a lot of years in the future. So I give that a solid or a very wobbly maybe, but probably leaning towards the no side. Official Koi, though no check marks, so I think you're kind of losing me with the official. When do you play video games, and what are you currently playing? And what are some of your favorite video games of all time? Now this one's really a light, fucking 561. So this question's in high demand. The only things I really play now is like fucking I'll whip out Clash Royale when I'm doing cardio. And I think I reference that so much that it makes it seem like I'm a fucking Clash Royale like addict. Like I'll play it every once in a while when I'm doing my cardio, but like guys, it's whatever. But in terms of games, I would actually play a lot more. I never had like a computer or anything that would actually play games or like an Xbox when I was younger. So right when I started college, that's when I got like a real kind of I got like one of the Razer computers. So that's when I started playing Modern Warfare. I was a real Warzone fiend. I don't know how many hours I got, but it was to the point where I would like totally cold, drop into a Warzone solo, win it immediately, roll. I think I actually had a problem because that was like the first task of my day. Wake up, Warzone, cardio, class, repeat, come back home, more Warzone. But that's probably the one I got into the most. I've got a ton of hours in CS:GO, just kind of casual, whatever. But way before that, I mean, if I had to really kind of dive deep, huge Pokemon Diamond fan. Honestly, that was probably Pokemon Diamond and Pokemon Platinum. on the DS. Those were fucking peak. I have like no interest. Like I'm not like a Nintendo fanboy or anything now, but I've got zero fucking interest in like trying to play anything kind of newer. It's so like 3D and kind of it's like you've lost the essence of it, you know. But that was the shit. I feel kind of bad for somebody too because I didn't buy it. My mom bought it for me or something. But I found a copy of Pokemon Platinum on the bus. So so some poor kid must have lost it, and well, ended up good for me. Not that I think he would have no idea. It's been so long. But yeah, those were pretty good. So Adam El Rifi, how do you personally avoid letting other people's thoughts affect you? And has there been a point where the opinions of those close to you change the way you do things? Love your videos. Now, I'm sure he probably means doing things bodybuilding wise, like working out wise. Not really, man. I mean, if you like even from the get go, I was kind of a fucking diehard gym rat. Like even starting out 160 once I could drive, it was pretty much gym every night on repeat, even like home gym extra late. So sure, there's a little bit of a learning curve in the beginning. You know, when I'm like, there's pictures of me as like a 160-pounder drinking a full cup of like egg whites just in the kitchen counter, or like I was slamming like different like 4 packs of sardines at once in a bowl, no crackers, no nothing, just pure fucking may as well be bait. So it took a little bit of adjusting for like my sister, my parents, and everything else. But after, I mean, how long are you going to do that before they actually start to get it? Like maybe a couple of weeks. And then the gas just really never came off from there. So if you're really kind of, or, oh, yeah, I mean, you're going to get looks if you roll up to lunch at high school and you've got a Tupperware tub that's full of a dozen boiled egg whites with no yolk. Now, really, that's the responsibility of you, the lifter, to not eat something extra fucking weird in public. Like, I have no problem eating that alone, but if you bring that somewhere, or like when you crack open tuna cans in your office, and like people can kind of smell it, like that's something where you can be a little more mindful and maybe not do anything extra weird. But if that's all you got, who cares, man? You know, they've got no real bearings over the things that you want to do. So if this is the fucking way to go after it, then yeah, I'm gonna crack fucking 4 cans of sardines in a bowl and wash it down with like 15 egg whites in a mason jar. It's like what's the problem here? But that's yeah, I feel like I haven't had a massive problem with like what would you even call it? Not self-awareness, but yeah, I don't think I've been very anxious for that long, or if ever. So I never had a problem doing something which kind of might give you a little bit of looks or anything. Oh, and then you finished with love your videos. Perfect. Thank you. Jaden Ludwig 7401. Where should people start if they're considered skinny fat? Not a lot of people giving great answers, and I'd love to hear your response. Love your videos, and they've gotten me back into lifting regularly. That's a good one. That's a good one. And I hear everything. You know, I'll hear or I don't hear it, but I'll see it. Like guys will start off like just kind of skinny fat, whatever, like no muscle or no like meaningful kind of like gym kind of built muscle, and then a bit soft, and then you like, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint a specific answer because there are different ways to go about that. But for the most part, I would say don't do anything crazy. Don't try to rush anything. Just make sure you're hitting your protein intake per day and you're eating at about maintenance. So if you go online, type on your fucking keyboard, maintenance calorie calculator, plug in your weight, plug in your height, you can plug in your estimated body fat, and it'll say like, okay, how often do you work out, or what's the rigorousness of your exercise routine? Plug all that stuff in. So let's say if you're like a 170-pound guy, 5'10", you're kind of skinny fat, like that's your deal, whatever. You plug all that information in, and it's gonna, chunk out a number. But for the most part, as long as you're not gaining weight like really quickly, like if somebody wasn't working out, they're just kind of a skinny fat, not to dog them, we're just saying, and you're not just gaining weight like pounds per week, then the only thing that I'd want to change for somebody like that, if they wanted to get into the gym, is just make sure you're hitting your protein goal per day. So if you're a 170 pounder, even just 150 pounds or 150 grams of protein a day, totally fine. And then just start fucking working out. Watch some tutorials. There's a fucking million. If you just look up like bodybuilding chest workout, beginner. There's probably a 10 million view YouTube video right there. And there's a reason it has that many views. It's probably got some reasonable information in it. And just go from there. It's definitely going to help if you know a couple of guys who you're buddies with, or they already work out, and have them give you some tips. Don't just hand them a piece of paper and say, "Can you write out a full workout routine for me?" Like that's a that's a little much. But like just asking some questions here and there, as long as you're not prying too hard. These guys want to talk about it. If you're a diehard lifter, or if you know somebody who's like one of your buddies, whatever, from class, or your brother, whatever, and they and they actually work out. Apart from in the gym or talking to anybody who works out, they don't talk about it, because anybody who's a non-lifter couldn't. It's like you're on a like that's like talking to a computer scientist about the different kind of codes he's running and how he's getting some random error. It's like you don't have a frame of reference. So I don't get to talk to, even when I explain some of my workouts that I'm doing to guys who don't really work out. uh there's like little nuanced details which you only get once you start actually going to the gym. It's like, oh, this cable is like so fucking like gummy, like, oh, it's really gross. And then like these dumbbells were kind of loose and they're like spinning around, and it's like I was using this bench, but when I put it at the angle I want for incline, it's like just too steep or it's just too shallow. I can't get that actual sweet spot. Like there's a lot of little details where it's like you kind of have to get into it to really get the grasp of it. But what I mean by that is like, if you ask a dude like, hey, can you tell me some tips on how to do a rope push down? Or like, I'll see this all the time, and I'll even fucking do it too. It's like, hey, can you watch my set and tell me, like, just critique me? Fucking perfect. And if you've got a little bit of a grasp on what basic form looks like, then a really good solid kind of benefit of recording yourself in the gym, if you bring out a tripod or like have your friend record a set of your squats or something, you can look back at it, and as long as you can actually approach it with the idea of like, okay, what should I adjust? How can I change this to actually make this a better a better rep, better depths, whatever else? Then you can see exactly what you're doing wrong, change it, record it again, look at it, and then that's something I totally missed out on before I started recording actual working sets. Is I can make a lot of adjustments now, and I can see in a video, like when I used to be doing barbell bench, and I'd be like this wide with my elbows flared like this high on my neck, and I'm like, oh, that actually doesn't look very good. Maybe I should fucking change this shit. So all that's to say, if you start taking, or if you start eating the amount of protein you should per day, and then just get into the gym, gradually you'll get more experience. You'll kind of decide, okay, do I really like this? Do I really want to keep doing this? Hopefully that answer is yes. And then, fuck, man, before you know it, you're going to be complaining that your gym's D handles are fucking plastic instead of metal, or whatever else. So it's like once that ball starts rolling, you get a pretty strong snowball effect, as long as you keep showing up and putting in a reasonable amount of effort. But I wouldn't want to just crash diet right off the rip. That's I think you're kind of losing the point of what body fat reduction in a bodybuilding, like lifting phase, kind of means, because it's not just you know fucking body fat delete. It's not, okay, peel off all this weight as quick as possible. Like, I mean, if that's like your goal, like you want to just be like a skinnier dude, I mean, some people fucking do, then yeah, maybe that's your thing. But in a lifting context, it's usually a give and take of, okay, I want to build muscle. Now I'm a little bit softer. I want to lose body fat to reveal that muscle underneath. So to go from a skinny fat non-lifter to, okay, I'm working out now, I should diet really hard. Oftentimes I feel like people do it a little too hard. Like you might start kind of breaking into the muscle you've already got, and you're not setting yourself up for success, because right in the beginning of your lifting journey, when you're like total beginner, you got newbie gains. You're paying it for gold, and your whole thing is just full of fucking nuggets. So why waste that time with a serious deficit, when if you just eat at maintenance with a gram per pound of body weight of protein per day and lift, you're going to grow like a weed, at least for those first kind of few, probably 6. I mean, fuck, man, even going past a year and a half. So I'd say don't try to crash diet too hard. Eat what you're eating, increase your protein intake, and train. And you should see results pretty quickly, especially in the beginning. I mean, I'm not joking. It's like 2 months could pass and you could roll up to somebody you haven't seen in those 2 months. They're going to notice. So that's, didn't mean to spend too long there, but that's what I would say. Potato Patch 5202. How often do you wash your hair? And what's the hair care routine? See, now that's a reasonable question. We're getting kind of I think a haircut's due. I like the idea of like what it would look like if my hair was double the length that it is right now. But I mean, that's all I'll hear from guys who really grow their hair out. It's like you got to get past that shoulder length phase, and then you see. But no, I could foresee a trim reasonably soon. But in terms of the routine, I'm not inclined to wash it every fucking day. Always give it a solid rinse. I'd probably say I shampoo it like, well, I probably shampoo it just like once a week, but I'll condition probably like twice a week or so. But if I'm like constantly getting rid of all my fucking hair's oils and then trying to make up for it by conditioning it, it's like you're giving yourself a problem and then trying to solve it, you know? So unless you're really smelling, I don't really think you need to totally like deep clean your hair on the regular. Like give it a good rinse, get all the fucking sweat out and everything else. But serious kind of shampoo, conditioner on the daily, at least if your hair's a little longer, I think you're just gonna end up getting really fucking frizzy, you know? Now if you got shorter hair, you won't notice as much. You know, if somebody's got a buzz cut, who gives you're not gonna notice if it's shampooed or if it wasn't. So little insight there. Christmas my handle. I fell off a roof breaking two vertebrae and busted my elbow. I haven't been able to train for 4 weeks. I was nearly on the full stack for pushdowns before the fall. You've always been a great source of hype for me when lifting, and a little inspiration for when I can get back to training would go a long way. So, fuck. I mean, obviously anybody's first piece of advice would say, go back in time and catch yourself or just don't fall. But that's a fucking fantasy world. So when it comes to injuries, which is kind of how I'll spin this, but dude, don't fucking don't lose that itch. A lot of guys will get kind of a serious kind of, I mean, this is two vertebrae, that's bedridden, you know, and to go from like a pretty solid workout routine to hospital bed, weeks, however long. I mean, I haven't broken any vertebrae. I don't know what that recovery process is like, but like that's a serious fucking wrench in your gears, which can completely stop you. And physically, you're going to notice. I mean, 4 weeks plus having a serious recovery injury like that, I mean, you could see some fucking immediate strength loss. But I would say, dude, do whatever you fucking can, right? Get a little grip trainer, 50 reps one side, 50 reps the other side. Like, even if I, like, knock on wood here, but even if I fucking smash my leg in half today, no, I really don't even like putting that in the universe. But even if that happened, I, one time I took a day off because of an injury, and that was because I sliced my thumb open. I'm not going to show the picture, but it was like right this whole chunk of fucking meat just because I was like cutting this bucket of paint open for when I was street painting for a while, but completely sliced it because I was using this baby knife. I had to go in. So that day I had legs. So they took me to the ER and they just kind of sewed me up because they're not you got to schedule like a reconstructive surgery from a real, I forget what their specialty was. I think it was like either, I think it was a weird combination. I was kind of surprised. Like they specialized in like hand and facial reconstruction or something like that. So I had to have that scheduled later in the week. So that day, the guy just sliced me up. His legs. This doesn't affect my legs. Leg extension, leg curl day. But today I had to go and get a reconstructive surgery. They didn't just put me under general anesthetic. I got a nerve block where they put this massive fucking syringe. I think it had to be like 5 milliliters of something, some kind of whatever. But they stick it in kind of through your neck or so and your traps into here. Because, if you imagine how your fucking nervous system works, right? You got your brain, you got this big kind of cord going down your spine, and then it branches off, one down the arm, one down the other arm. So all they do is like put this, I guess some kind of nerve agent or something, not in a, well, just whatever. This huge kind of injection right on that cluster of nerves that go down your arm. So they put that in, they take it out, I sit there for a while. Over the course of the next 20 minutes, my entire hand gradually loses strength. I can't really move it as much more, and like it's getting a little. And by like 20 minutes deep, shoulder down to hand, completely fucking paralyzed, like it was somebody else's. Like I would hold on my own fucking hand. Probably one, one of the weirdest sensations I fucking had. But like not pins and needles, I'm talking dead. So this was in the morning. They sew me up, fix everything else, put me in a little cast, like wrap me up. And I meant to have legs that day too. It had been like 4 days, so leg day had come back around. But my fucking whole arm, I couldn't move it at all. I didn't want to drive with that. So I said, okay, we'll take a day there. But when it comes to something as serious as vertebrae, because that's really in the center of your whole system, it's hard to kind of move around that. I think you're just going to have to take a minute. Don't lose your hype, which I'm sure you're not. Clearly, you've got a fire burning in your belly to throw some steel around once you get back into the gym. And make you stronger, man, you know? But as time progresses, don't just forget you had something crazy like that. You know, a lot of the times, the main problem lifting wise isn't the initial injury itself, it's the recurring re injury after kind of putting a little bit too much strength and force into something before it's really ready for it, which I've been there for. I've pulled my chest in different places and then re-pulled it in the same place later on. It's hamstrings, like my couple shoulders, like rotator cuff kind of stuff. Never anything major, but like the whatever. You get hurt once, total freak accident. You can't expect it. I mean, some guys will do a regular set of bench, like they can do 275. They're doing 225 for reps, peck all the way off the bone, right? Just a fucking bad roll of the dice. But if you go into something haphazardly after your recovery process has been most of the way completed and then hurt yourself again, there's only one person to blame. So all I could say there, get back to it ASAP, within reason, of course, once recovered. But be mindful, right? Be mindful and don't tweak that shit again. But that's my tip there. That's my little intel there. So tall guy Jeremiah, if you couldn't do bodybuilding, would you rather do powerlifting, strongman, or weightlifting? So that would be Olympic weightlifting, right? I'm talking snatch and clean and jerk. That's probably out of the running. I don't think you'd see much of that. But powerlifting versus strongman? I'm not totally certain. I'm not really interested in either one of them. You know, like this is apples and oranges, but I'd rather have like a pear, you know. I think I'd have to pick powerlifting, but yeah, because I wouldn't want to be caught with well, I'm not saying it's whatever, but you know, with the strong men when they tack up their hands with that kind of goo so they can pick up the Atlas stones. But I'm not really. I have no interest in like one rep maxes for the powerlifting side of things. Like, I mean, that's a good question. I can't even fucking answer it. I think it would have to be powerlifting just out of the three, but I don't have much of an explanation because really it's just like I'd rather just do the bodybuilding. That's a good one though. Trent Miller. Realistically, for a newbie, what body fat percentage should you cut down to, and when should you bulk? Then he's got a side questions. We'll get into that in a second. So, body fat percentages, sometimes you can't pick it. You know, if you got more of a fat loss journey as your first step and not so much just a muscle gaining journey, which is definitely some guys are a bit more spoiled because until you actually kind of take control over like your fitness side of things, you know, some of that shit's just out of your fucking hands, you know, with how your parents raise you or like whatever kind of food you have access to, which that kind of sucks for somebody who they've got to start off at 250 in, you know, just a fucking pure body fat kind of way. But when it comes to kind of more of a rate, like not regular, but let's say like a 15% body fat, just regular walking around dude, I'd say I wouldn't want to bulk past 20% body fat. That's getting a little bit too soft. So if you're bulking up and you're gaining weight steadily and you reach a point where your abs are pretty much all gone, you can tell you're getting a bit softer. You're losing some of your ab vein or like your forearm veins. You can't really see your bicep vein anymore. I'd say that's a good cue. But on the opposite side of that spectrum, if you want to diet down so that you can do a bulk again, I don't see the need to go past like 10%, you know? Like if it's purely to get body fat off so you can bulk up again and start packing on more weight, then to go below 10 or like 8%, I mean, there's no gains left. All you're doing is actually eating into your whole system because now you're really crashing your metabolism. You're probably eating into some of the muscle you've already got to try to lose that extra body fat. So unless you have some motive like a bodybuilding competition or like photo shoot kind of thing, whatever else, then I'd say 20% body fat, maximum kind of bulk. Like that's where you're not really getting too soft, but you've definitely packed on some size. And then around 10, 9-ish percent, like you got veins, you've got a like your fucking arms are veiny when they're pumped up. You might have a hint of an ab vein potentially. Like if you when you do a real most muscular, like all your neck veins poke out. That's probably the limit that has utility. Now, if you go further than that to get extra lean for, well, just because, I mean, why else? Then, just know that you could potentially be eating into the muscle you've already built. And to get that lean, you got to add more cardio, you got to add more calorie deficit. It could potentially cut into your goals, gains wise, right? So if you're looking at like a bulk cut, bulk cut, these bottoms, these valleys, I'd say 10% body fattish, and those peaks, I'd say around 20. Now that would be a good kind of ratio just by guessing. But of course, you're you, right? Take control with your routine however you want to do it, as long as you know it's in your best interest for what you want to do. But second question, death row meal. I've kind of already scanned these before. So as soon as I answer that, I've kind of got some lobster bisque on my mind right now. I had some like a month ago or so. Me and my mom went out to lunch. That was pretty good. So I can imagine steak, lobster bisque, bread and butter. That would be pretty solid right now. But that's gonna change. I might be in the mood for some fucking pancakes in an hour. Right? So, but that's what I'm thinking there. Random Mister, no, random Rubicats 2874. When doing a drop set, is it better to drop the weight and rest before the set, or drop the weight more and go straight into a set? Also, what's your favorite SOAD song? SOAD. What is he talking about? I'm looking at my Spotify. SOAD. System of a Down. Yeah, I guess I'm a fucking poser fan. My liked songs is like it's all kind of specifics. Like I'm not gonna listen to a full discography of like somebody. I kind of just pick and choose. But yeah, I guess Ariel's. That's like one of the only ones I listen to. But I'm definitely I'm scanning around. I'm scanning around for sure. But back to the drop set side of things, it depends. Because I mean, a drop set with a break, that's not a drop set. That's a rest pause set. For the most part, when I think of regular drop sets, I either look at it in two ways. So one kind of drop set would be a movement where I'm doing something pretty fucking heavy. If I'm benching, if I'm doing like kind of heavy rows or something, or if I'm squatting on the Smith machine, whatever, then I'll pretty much hit failure or just get right to it. Stand up, drop the weight, like maybe just one plate, get back under it, and then do like five more. Uh, But when it comes to something like a dumbbell curl or like tricep push downs or leg extensions, then I'm a little bit more inclined to drop the weight by like half and just keep burning out with reps that way. But in either case, I'm not really resting much because I think the whole point of the drop set is okay, I'm close to failure with this weight. I can't do any more reps with this weight. So what do? I change the weight, make it lighter. Still holding on to one handle, switch it, keep burning out with reps. Now, a rest pause set is a completely different sort of style. And usually with those, I just keep the same weight. Like if I'm doing in the leg press later, I do a little rest pause where I do however many reps, stand up for a second, shake my legs out, get some blood flowing, sit back down and do some more reps. But you can kind of combine the two. So if you'd want to do a heavy set, just a bad approach failure, stand up, drop the weight, wait 10, 15 seconds, then do another drop set, then that's fine too. It's there is no right answer. It's all just kind of different ways to throw this shit around. But as long as the intensity is there, I'd say that's what you'd really be the most concerned with. So, I mean, you can explain it all you want, and you can say like oh, well, this heavy fast rep is going to activate more fast twitch fibers, and these slow eccentric, like, I'm definitely not knocking that off or anything, but just change your workouts up, do things in different styles, right? Maybe do some heavy kind of regular tempo reps or do some slower ones. I've been liking some slower ones the last couple of workouts, but as long as the intensity is there, you're cool. And if you're growing in combination with that, even fucking better. You're clearly in the green. Just add some shit to change it up. Moin 537. Do you have body dysmorphia? And if yes, how do I deal with it? I probably have body dysmorphia for sure, but it doesn't, to whatever degree I have it to, doesn't really eat me alive. Like, I don't look at an Instagram post of somebody who's like bigger and leaner than me and think like, fuck, why don't I look like that? God, I look like shit. And the reason I kind of say that with such emphasis is like, that's the reality of it. I mean, dudes will fucking be getting like, I mean, at probably the craziest end, like panic attacks, looking at somebody else on their phone who's like, looks way better than them. And then they look at themselves in the reflection, no pump, no nothing. You're like, oh my God, why do I look so shit? Fuck. And I mean, that'll really eat at somebody. But I think the root cause of that is kind of a disconnect from reality in a way. So when I think about what I look like at all times, I know, okay, this is what I look like just walking around, no pump, no nothing. That is normal. That is how I look, and I'm okay with that, right? So when I'm in the gym and I do a full fucking chest day and I'm sitting in front of the mirror, my arms are residually pumped, my shoulders have a little blood flow too, chest fucking swollen out of hell, and I'm like, dude, I'm most muscular with all sorts of veins and everything else, and I'm like sweaty too, so the lighting is like reflecting off me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's sweet. But that's not how I look all the time. I don't have to be attached to that peak look and then have to drop off to like, in the red. So it's like wherever your kind of normal zone is. And unfortunately, people have such a, and I don't mean people in general. I guess I do mean people in general, but it's very easy to get accustomed to the peak of something, right? Once you have the best food of your life, everything else is going to taste like meh, you know? So it's kind of, I couldn't tell you an exact method to it or anything because it is really kind of like subconscious level stuff at that point. But if you can grasp and think about it like, okay, I'm pumped. I look extra crazy. Like, this is my baseline right here. And when I go to the gym and have a fucking crazy workout, or if I'm dieting down and I'm really lean and impressive looking, like, okay, that's extra. I'm extra cool now. Now I'm just regular. The issue is people get used to extra cool. Like, they raise their bar of normal to like when they're pumped up and when they're most impressive. And then you make it worse by like making all your photos like drop the exposure, max the contrast and the sharpness, like pop out every minuscule vein that you can barely see normally. But when you edit the photo, they all come out. And then you get used to not even like your peak reality, but you get used to like edited reality. Then if this is your normal and you're comfortable with this, you have to drop down to regular. Like, I think it's all just a mindset approach there. But I think in the scheme of things, I'm pretty spoiled to not be too body dysmorphic. But you don't get to fucking 270 without a little bit of craziness. So I wonder what a shrink would think. But yeah, it doesn't bother me too bad. Skims 3823. Did you find it awkward when you first started recording yourself in the gym? Yeah, it was pretty awkward. So before I started making any of these videos where we're actually kind of talking one on one, it was just like a few clips of lifts, like a set of tricep push downs or curls, and then cut to like some poses. And the real trick I was doing there was you just run through some poses in the mirror, and then when you edit it later and you add a song, like you make sure that the beat drop is timed with like a certain with the music. So it's like yeah, whatever. But that was in the beginning. So that was like really chill. There's nobody's looking at you. Just put a tripod and pointing at yourself doing like one set of bench. So I kind of get warmed up to it there. And then eventually, before I posted any of these videos, I had like two prototype versions where I tried to record a workout and talk about it and like do a car talk back and forth. First one I edited, I wish I still had it. I totally deleted it, but I was like, wow, that was shit. I don't know what I got to change here. Let's think about this. Second version, okay, we're getting somewhere. And by then I'm like, okay, well if I keep trying to revise these, then I'm never going to post it because I'm going to have to wait till perfection. So eventually I was like, okay, third one, let's just do it. Post this one, go from there. Good. And at the time that like when I posted that video, like after the first week, it had like 2,000 views. So that was like way back earlier, like almost 2 years ago now. But oh, and then before I even posted that one, I would put my phone up in my car on the tripod, drive back and forth to the gym. Like, I mean, not just in one day. Like every time I drive to the gym, I would try to practice talking about the workout and talking about what I was going to do. And if you go back and watch the first video, like it was a leg day, and you can hear in a couple sets before I actually do the set, I'm like, all right, I feel like a total fucking asshole recording myself in the gym, but let's do some hamstring curls, do it. And then just by repeating it over time, now I'm way more comfortable with it. And half of that is just like, who cares if people are fucking watching, right? Do what you want to do. But there's a very massive change in the way that I talk in like the first maybe 3 or maybe even like 4 months of videos versus now. And half of that was because I was using a scrappier mic, which you had to really like talk loud to actually have it hear you. But it's like now we're talking like normal. Like this is how I would talk to somebody who's across from me. But in the first couple videos, it's I don't even like watching them and like hearing myself talk because that's like not how I usually spoke. So over time, if you actually get into it like that, with practice, you'll get more natural. So yeah, if you ever think like, man, Sam, you can talk really well to the camera and there's nobody there, it's just you talking to yourself, like that. That definitely took practice. So don't think it was just pure luck. But let's keep scrolling here. Jesse Mutai 4090. Does my strength need to be directly proportional with my gains, even if I feel like my workouts are intense? And that's where time comes into play. That's where I'm going to ask you, how long have you been working out? What has your sort of size trajectory been? Like, did you start at 160 and now you're 180 after like 2 years? If so, then you're growing, whatever. Right? Keep doing what you're doing. But for the most part, if I think of like the average kind of character teenage dude lifter, usually I'd say they start at like a 160, 170, like not like jacked, not like crazy lean or anything, but just regular body fat, and go from there. And from about like 160 to 190, if your body fat stays relatively similar, I would say that your strength and your size should be pretty related. So that's where progressive overload, I think, is the most important, because as you get bigger, you want to be stronger. And since they're so paired together, you can actually flip those around. So if you try to make yourself stronger by doing like specific kind of sets for like really pushing the limit for how much you can do, like if you do a set of 6 reps on bench and like you fail at 7 and have somebody spot you, that set just made you stronger. Guaranteed. If you hit real failure and you actually pushed it. But to a point, there's a like you get to somewhere where size doesn't actually correlate with strength so directly. Like I don't need to bench, I'm not gonna bench 200-pound dumbbells and be 30% bigger than I am right now, because that's just not the ratio. Like honestly, with like the 5 or 6 plate squats, probably 3 plates, maybe 375 or 365 on barbell, or like maybe like 160s or so, that's probably the upper limit of what's actually necessary. But that, I mean, I'm like 270, so that's kind of out of the question of like the regular lifter. But for the most part, as you get bigger, you should be getting stronger. But if you're growing, then clearly what you're doing is working. So, keep riding it. And then if you start to notice an issue gains wise, if you start to see like, okay, I've been training really hard the last like 3 months, haven't really gained any weight. I'm like still the same 180 I was before. Then that's where you may need to look back and think, okay, what should I change? And huh. And usually the case there, it's not the training that has to change. For the most part, I would recommend looking at your diet. Because if your fucking calorie intake isn't on par with the gains that you want to make, You can train as hard as you fucking want, or like lift as much weight as you want. You're not going to grow. So I'd say don't stress it. If you're really working hard, you're good. Fist Factory DJ, that's a good username. Where do you think weightlifting as a sport is heading? Do you think it's evolving, or will it stay the same? Now, I guess I maybe should have clarified this. Like weightlifting, like what I'm doing, like bodybuilding side of things, or like weightlifting, like powerlifting. I feel like let's just answer both. The bodybuilding side of things, I think we're getting close to the peak, to the pinnacle of what we know, training wise, science based wise, everything else. Like, it's not that complicated. Curl a dumbbell as many times as you can. Oh, I'm sweaty and now I'm tired. All right, I better go eat something. I'm hungry. Oh, now I'm sleepy. Okay, now I want to come back and lift again. And oh, magically my bicep is growing. Like there's a point where all of this effort into training analyzation is just coming up with reasonings behind why things that people who work out already do works. Knowing why when I flip that light switch, the light turns on, doesn't change the fact that every time I flip the switch, the light turns on. So a lot of like the science of lifting, I feel like is kind of just playing catch up with what has already been discovered anecdotally by the millions of fucking lifters across the world who all have the same common goal in mind: train to grow muscle. So of course, whatever works is going to get sort of spread around, and that's going to kind of become the norm. It's not a puzzle, at least not a very complicated one. But when it comes to the powerlifting side of things, like if you're, which I think he's probably talking about the bodybuilding, but now I want to get into it, like the sumo deadlifts and like the benches where you're like this wide and looks like that's the rep. When it comes to stuff like that, uh, you know, you're cheating the system, but like it's within the rules. Deadlifts, personally, I don't care so much about. I don't see a sumo deadlift and think that guy's fucking pulling sumo, and then I comment like, "That's not a real deadlift, you fucking loser." Like that doesn't cross through my mind. I'll get a little picky about the bench though. I think you're getting a little finicky with your fucking angles here with some of those. But for the most part, after long enough, things get pretty stagnant. But there's always little breakthroughs and little what's the word? Like little kind of prodigies who like raise the bar for everybody else. Like every time and I talk about this a lot because it's kind of a cool reference. Every time an Olympic or like a world record for the 100-meter dash gets broken by somebody, I mean, it's typically the fucking, like the pattern looks like this. One guy was crazy fast, 10.8 seconds. Everybody else finds out like, oh shit, you can break 11 seconds? Or whatever that time was. Now everybody's running 10.8. Everybody's running 10.8. It's easy. Holy crap, someone just ran 10.1. Now suddenly everybody can fucking run 10.1 because like it's been proven possible. Like it's just kind of it really is just a raise in the bar kind of situation. But for the most part, I think people are going to be doing dumbbell curls for years to come. Is a good little conclusion to that one. Chicken Toucher 55. At what age do you think you'll stop bodybuilding? At least the constant stress you're putting on right now, switch into a more sustainable gym lifestyle. That'll happen. That'll happen for sure. Don't worry. You're not going to see me running around at a 300-pound body weight beyond a decade from now. No fucking chance. There's definitely an exit strategy for sure. I'm not exactly certain when that is going to be. But no, I mean, I don't even like walking around. So of course I like it, right? I like walking around fucking big and cool, but the athleticism, like it's a give and take, right? This is size and this is my athleticism. This is my ratio, and this is near zero. Bottom of the screen is zero, So it'll ease back together to a level which I'm more comfortable with for sure. But don't even worry about that now. That's gonna be in a while. Broden Ludwig 6781. Do you find it necessary to change up your workouts every once in a while, or are you okay with keeping them the same? Keep it up, legend! Exclamation point. Well, I do change them up. Every workout is actually a bit different than the last one. Like, no, I don't do one arm day where the next one is exactly the same. Now, some of the frameworks and the movements are the same. I might do 2 movements of this and 3 of this and 2 dip machines, but I kind of approach each lift as its own situation rather than like as a construct of like, okay, I'm doing an 8-week plan. This is my workouts that I have written out. I'm going to do these workouts exactly for these 8 weeks, which for the beginner, the rigidness of that routine, I think is fucking crazy valuable because that actually has a lot of fucking, well, it just lets you build experience because then you don't have to think about and like make kind of random decisions about what movement to do and whatever else. But I think you reach a point as a lifter where you know how you feel and you know what different movements are going to let you feel what kind of fatigue throughout the lift, where like I know I'm not going to want to start off my tricep day with skull crushers because that's a lot of tension through my elbows and I'm not really warmed up for it yet. So I know I'm going to save those for later. I know starting with a rope extension is feeling pretty good for me right now. I think I'll start with that. It's like I've got a basic framework of each workout, but I like to kind of change it up each day because I don't like the idea of following like a real rigid, written out on paper routine. And not only that, but I think the idea of it is a little flawed because maybe that routine might be perfect for you one day, but I might come into the gym after doing a set of barbell bench the day or the like the lift before, and now I'm like, okay, barbell bench felt pretty good last time. Let's do it again. Get onto the barbell, fucking one plate, 2 plate warm up. Like, oh, I don't like this at all. I want to do Smith machine. And then I'm not just going to do barbell because I said I would and then deal with a workout, which I don't really want to do. I'm like, okay, let's change this up. Do something I know is going to feel better. But that's something which over time as you work out, you'll get a better grasp for. So, in terms of this question specifically, definitely change that shit up. Brennan DS. What's your take on Dr. Mike's approach to lifting, like the pausing and the stretching and going extremely slow versus like Jay and Ronnie's era where they were slunging weights around and got huge with no pausing at the stretch whatsoever? I think this is a payment of gratitude to the fact that as long as you're training hard, results will be fucking induced. But, you know, it's it's kind of hard to judge things based on confirmation bias. Like if I don't there's a whole airplane reference where it was like, okay, all these planes that are returning from warfare have a lot of bullet holes in the wings and none in the engine. Like, okay, let's just bolster up the armor on the wings and then send them back out. It's like the guys who actually made those crazy gains doing that kind of routine isn't exactly confirmation that it works for everybody. It's just confirmation that worked for them. So that's where I think having a solid mix of sort of approaches with your training is your best bet, right? Like I'm for every one like slow burning set of leg extensions I do, that kind of gets coupled with a regular fast set of like Smith machine squats with 5 plates, like you'll see later if you watch the full fucking leg workout. Or for every set of like slow like cable curls I do, like one cable in each arm, I'm still gonna do like a heavy set of regular dumbbell curls. So I think an even mix just makes the most sense. If you've got an opponent in front of you and we're not totally sure what the exact weak point of it is, because I mean, if you only do 20-pound dumbbell curls and you're like, man, I'm really feeling the burn, I don't think that's enough. You're missing out on that mechanical tension that heavy weight's going to give you. But if you only try to curl as heavy as you possibly can, then I think you're missing out on that kind of burning like fatigue that you get from a little bit more of a endurance test of a set. Because 10 reps with like 50-pound dumbbells, if that's failure for you, like that's hard, but that's over quick. Like you get to a point where it's just like, I can't even exert that force anymore, and you fail. Which for me sometimes is a little bit easier. Like I have a little bit more trouble taking sets as truly hard as I can when it's on the lighter side of things and it's really burning because that's like, dude, my freaking biceps on fire. You know? So it just makes more sense to me to try to go at it from every angle possible, right? Fucking body blows, straight, left hook, uppercut. Don't need to show you all my skills there, but I think both have their fucking values. The issue is which why I'll kind of dog on some of the like science-based characters is, and it's not necessarily personal, and honestly, I think it's just a little bit silly I even say it, but it's when the idea that training in an easier way will get you more results than training as hard as you can. Like when I hear people say that in any sort of way, it really fucking rubs me backwards, you know, because there really is no substitute for just unadulterated effort in the gym. You could take somebody with a fucking crazy perfect workout routine where it's like, okay, you're hitting every muscle in every different kind of way. Like you're doing a set where you're doing light burning weight and like moderate like tempo reps, and you're doing a heavy set of curls at the beginning. It's like, okay, that's scientifically proven to be the most studied effective bicep builders. Whereas if you take some fucking football dude and he's like, all right, I'm going to make the fucking 60s my bitch today. 10 sets of 60-pound dumbbell curls as hard as he fucking can every set. Throws them down every time. Maybe, okay, maybe don't throw them. You know, we're getting use your best judgment depending on your gym. You know, if you throw 60-pound dumbbells in a Planet Fitness, odds are you're out of there. But all that's to say, I think that guy's going to get better results. And maybe that's just personal, but I'd rather be that guy. I'd rather be the dude who every set is like, okay. And like, I don't even have any thoughts going through my head. It's just pure like excitement about that set on its own. And, you know, anything else that takes away from that kind of irks me. So maybe that's just a personal thing I have. But like when I hear easier equals better, I'm like, yeah, you're fucking lying. Because I know that's not going to beat just going insane on like a tricep pushdown to the point where you just can't even lift it anymore. Like reps and reserves, just to me, at least right now, I hear that as like, okay, gains on the table. So that's why I try to make most of my sets right to failure, if not beyond sometimes, with some extra assisted reps or anything else. But you know, use your best judgment. As long as you know you're training hard, then if you do a set of burnout curls where you're just trying to get blood flow into your biceps and like you don't hit total failure, but you got a really solid burn, you put them down, wait a minute, do it another few times, then that's fucking got some stimulus too. So it's not cut and dry. Every set has to be complete muscular failure. But I think for the most part, trying to get there on most of your sets makes a bit more sense to me. Owen James 4933. Sam, do you ever have feelings of depression or anxiety? And if so, how do you deal with that while still staying so positive and motivated? You know, not so much now. I was everybody gets a little angsty, you know, when you're younger. I think some of you guys forget. I'm a grown up. Like I'm an adult now. You know, I'm not just a kid anymore. So when you're kind of growing up, all sorts of shit's change, and you're getting thrown into high school. Oh, now you got to go to college, whatever else. It's kind of a tough transition period. And I'm not jealous of kids today. I said this before, and that's such a fucking old thing to say, but it's like you add social media, everybody's bullying each other as hard as they can, like texting and everything else. You're getting exposed to like actual adult content when you're fucking 10. I mean, that's going to throw you off your game for sure. I think I was on like the cusp, like born like 2002 or so. I'm like, I got to play outside a lot. I didn't have a problem of like, you need to get off the iPad. You've been using it for 5 hours straight. Like I still got some outside time. But no, I mean, for anything like that, I feel is typically an indication that something's off. Something in your routine is off. And odds are, I mean, not even odds are, for the most part, most anxiety inducing situations, it's not, it's not just random. Now, of course, there's like the percentage where you legit have a straight up brain chemical imbalance, completely separate situation. But if you have a routine where you're really putting off a lot of the things that you should be doing and that you at least at some kind of subconscious conscious level know you should be doing, and instead kind of opting in for more kind of like instant gratification, fucking like you got a vape in one hand, you're playing Clash Royale on the other, you're spinning CSGO cases, you're like going out drinking with your buddies on the regular, and then it's like, oh shit, dude, you didn't really do. Now I'm just kind of getting into generalizations here, but it's like a lot of shit that really fucks people up. I feel, is when you're just making actions or taking actions that you know you're going to regret later, but you enjoy in the moment, and you're not doing the things that you get to enjoy later, but have to sort of deal with in the moment, right? Nobody likes cleaning up their house or folding their laundry or doing your chores, but everybody likes a clean house and a clean kitchen, you know? So it's like, if that's you, man, I think take a legit objective look at yourself and try to be like, well, I guess there's no better word than objective, and think, okay, what dirty dishes do I have that I'm not doing? Because odds are, if you can find them and, get the willpower to actually go after them, try to get them in a little bit more of an order and start working towards making yourself at least targeted towards a point where you get to enjoy later, all the better, right? Think about it like your bank. What's a better situation? Spending more than you're bringing in, or bringing in more than you're spending, right? So that's where maybe don't go out at 10 o'clock at night when you have to wake up at 6, and get yourself a restful day. Try not to focus too much on just randomness that has no bearings over your day-to-day life, and do shit that's going to make you feel good later. And for the most part, I think it's more important to just not do shit that makes you feel like shit later. So that's what I would say there. If you can kind of get a good kind of control over the ship that is your life and target it where you want it to go, then things are just going to fall into place. But yeah, if you're kind of in a younger demographic, it's a little bit trickier because nobody's got their life together. Then you're like, you don't even know where you're going to go to school. So it's something to think about. But usually, if you can have a targeted goal you're aiming for, you're busy enough with that. You kind of just fall into a little bit of a solider mindset. But worth thinking about. Definitely something to consider. Not a psychologist, but that's all I can say there. So that was what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 16. Yeah, 20-ish, 20 of the top comments. How many more of these should I do? I need oh man, I don't know. Should I do topics? Might be a good idea to do topic related Q&As. It's like Q&A theme. Legend of Zelda 25th anniversary edition for the DSi. Might get 3 questions of it, make that the theme. But either way, we'll get some more of these. I got to do a full day of eating too. Just sucks because you got to record the full day of eating. But no, I'll get that to you. Don't worry. That's on the agenda. But I guess let's just cut to that first set of hamstring curls. A little bit of I didn't record the drive because this was the talking part. But yeah, I got to slam my pre and go hit chest. So I guess you'll see that tomorrow. Let's start nice and easy. Well, I mean, not easy, but simply enough. Laying hamstring curls. And these prime machines are extra fancy because typically this round part is just that. It's usually just round, pretty circular. Maybe it has a little bit of like an ovalish curve to it, but nothing much. So basically, I'm going to feel the same amount of weight at the bottom and the top of the rep. But this lets me fuck around with it. So now I can make it so that it actually gets lighter as I do the reps. So it's like getting self-assistance. So rather than just kind of bounce around to the bottom, since the weight's getting easier throughout the rep, I'll be able to get a pretty complete squeeze even when I'm just right at the cusp of failure. But what happens is, since it gets heavier at the bottom, failure will be a little bit more abrupt. It's like a squat. You're not going to do a couple partials in a squat. You're just going to get to a point where you can't move the weight anymore. But good start here. Not even the whole fucking stack. These guys know what they're doing with these machines. Less than half the stack is going to work fucking wonders. Now let's see what's going to happen. Whew. All right. A few more just like that. Whew. Oh, yeah. One more. Okay. Let's do some type of RDL. Oh, yeah. If I can find one. Usually, I've been sticking to 2 plates, 2.5 plates, but hamstrings feel pretty good. 3 plates Smith RDL should do the trick. Just fucking nicely. Okay. Whew. Started using a little too much glutes and lower back, but those feel really good. I've gotten critiques where I see, Sam, you should really stand with your legs shoulder width apart for RDLs. Dude, I don't feel it, man. I got my feet, well, I got my toes touching. My heels are actually a little bit of apart, kind of a reverse duck footed, but that worked pretty well. But a few more here, then quads, I think. Oh, yeah. Oh, goodness. Okay. Back to curls for one more burnout kind of finisher. Holy crap. Let's do some single leg alternating reps. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, squeeze. Get the drill. Sort of just a pump out kind of burning finisher. That's enough. Oh. Yeah. The Johnny House did more than I expected, but time for quads. Same as normal. 5 reps on the right, 5 on the left, 5 on the right, 5 on the left. Reach just about failure, but kind of the point of these 2 sets, it's not complete quad obliteration. Half of it is kind of just getting my quads nice and warmed up, especially my knees, so that when we roll on to some kind of heavy press or whatever's next, I can do it with pretty much fucking full effort. Because if you got tender knees, dude,
Honestly, if they are tender, you probably shouldn't even be doing any heavy pressing because then you're just hurting yourself even further. So, try not to dig yourself into a deeper hole. And a proper warm up, or potentially orienting your workout in a way that some of the movements act as a warm up, seems like a good fucking move to me. But let's go nuts. Okay, that's good. Okay. All right. Next set will be a little different style. Okay. All right. Let's go press something. All right. I have one objective in mind, and that's to go fucking crazy here. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, damn. All right. Oh. Oh. I'm very glad I set up the safeties. That's enough of these. Jesus. Maybe it would have been smarter to drop it to 4 plates. Good set though. I'm not new to hip presses, but I am new to this one. So, trust me, I took my time actually kind of really deciding how many plates I wanted to use, what height I had to set this fucking thing at, because like so much stuff moves. You can change the safety so that you don't get smushed if you hit failure. You get to adjust the back and forth of the seat. Well, I guess that's it, but that still feels like a lot. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 15 plates on this thing. I really couldn't say how heavy that actually feels, but it's pretty fucking heavy. Hopefully get locked in, throw the shit around, and maybe camp out here for a while. You know, who's to say? Okay. Oh. A few more. Okay. Oh, one more. Minimum. Okay. One more. This machine is fucking perfect. Holy crap. I don't know what you remember about trigonometry, but just using some fucking logic here, all these plates are really far away from this point of rotation at the top. So that means they're exerting the most fucking torque. But as the rep comes down, these weights get closer and closer to basically just hanging off the top. Like if you were to push against even 100 plates, if they're all just hanging, you'll be able to move it easy, right? So at the bottom, it's perfect for self-assistance because that's where it's the lightest. Adding just a little bit of help, you can get it fucking moving. Oh, I think one more and I'll be satisfied. Oh. Oh, Jesus. Okay. I'm not done. Let's make this last one a rest pause. So I'm gonna take 10, 15 seconds, get a little recovery, burn out. All right, come on. Oh my God, okay. Holy shit. Oh. That's the end of it, God damn it. God, how the hell do I even get out of here? Oh. All right, let's make this quick. Honestly, there's not much to see with a fucking quad pump when you're bulked, just because it's like all the striations and everything are kind of hidden under the, under this kind of just a small level of fat. But still, feel reasonably full. My hamstring pump is kind of faded. Might need to find better lighting next time. But legs are not done. I need to do some adductor work. So let's go camp out over there for a minute.